Hey guys, this is Clinton Jeff from UnleashedPhones.com, and here's a quick look at the Nexus 5. This is the new Nexus phone that was launched this year by Google. It's once again made by LG. As you can see, it keeps triggering Google's search bar every time I say Google. Hopefully that will not happen too many times. But yeah, so let's talk about this phone. It's pretty much a much more muted design compared to previous Nexus designs. This time around you have a full HD 1080p display and Android 4.4 KitKat out of the box. At the time of making this video, Android 4.4.2 is out there. Unfortunately for me, my Nexus device, well, Nexus 5 in this case, can only find Android 4.4. It still thinks it's in the latest version, no matter how many times I say check for update. So we're just going to talk about Android 4.4 in this case. So I've done a quick unboxing, so you can check out the unboxing video to know what you get with this device. So like I said, again, LG was chosen just like last year to make the Nexus 5. Last year with the Nexus 4, they did a really good job having a all glass back, and it looked pretty okay. In this case, LG has chosen a nice soft touch finish, which as you can see does get fingerprints quite easily. But it does look nice enough. The Nexus 5 comes in white and black versions. The black version, as you can see, does get fingerprints, but the white version isn't as much of a fingerprint magnet as the black version, but it does tend to lose its gloss towards the side on the white version. So all in all, I think the black version is a safer bet. But apart from that, it's a pretty ordinary-ish looking phone. You can see there's a little notification LED at the bottom, and a centrally located earpiece right over there, and a front-facing camera. Pretty much your usual phone design. No capacitive keys, no hardware keys rather, because in this case, everything's virtual buttons, just like Google intends it to be. Now, this is mostly polycarbonate plastic, which might not mean much, but it is really solid. I think it's the most solid Nexus phone made so far, if you don't include the Nexus 4, if you aren't a fan of glass like I am. It's not as solid as maybe Nokia's Lumia line of polycarbonate phones, but this is pretty decent. It will definitely survive a couple drops. It measures 137 grams by 69 by 8.6 millimeters, which means it does feel very nice in your hand, and you can use it pretty well. You can't quite get to the top of the screen. You have to stretch a little bit, as you can see, but all in all, it's still a very comfortable size. The 5-inch screen is pretty gorgeous. It's an 1080p IPS LCD display. I'm not totally sure if this is exactly the same display used in the LG G2. The colors seem a little bit muted compared to the G2, and viewing angles aren't as great as the G2, but it does do a pretty good job. As you can see, the display is quite nice and looks really good. So at this price range, I would say this is the best screen quality you can get. Probably no other phone in this price range can beat that. Just to give you a quick tour of the hardware that's all around, on the left side you have the volume keys that work pretty well. There's the two speaker grills over here, one for the speaker, one for the microphone. It's not actually dual speakers, and a micro USB charging port right over there. On this side you have the screen lock button and a tiny little SIM card tray right there for the micro SIM. And at the top you have a standard 3.5mm audio jack, as you can see right there, with a tiny pinhole for the noise cancelling headphone. At the back you have that huge Nexus branding that I am a big fan of. You might not like this so much, but I think the Nexus branding does look pretty cool. There's also the LG branding towards the bottom. Depending on where you bought your LG made Nexus 5 from, you might get some information right over here which tells you about the I don't know, random patent things. Towards the top you have the 8 megapixel camera with a single LED flash. You can see that the camera lens thing here is way bigger than it should be, seeing as how the camera is actually just a little bit in there. So I'm not sure why they put in a gigantic ring like you see, but the camera does feature optical image stabilization, and the camera quality has improved massively since the Android 4.4.1 update. With 4.4 it's okay, it's not bad, but with 4.4.1 it gets much better. And as you can imagine, you can't remove the back panel, it's all just one device. So no micro SD card slot either, no removable battery. But you have a nice clean minimalistic looking phone that feels really great to use in the hand and is very comfortable as well. Speaking of hardware, the Google Nexus 5 features a quad-core 2.3 GHz Snapdragon 800 processor, which is super fast. Opening up anything just takes a fraction of a second. Because it's so fast, there's almost no lag at all. Everything opens up and moves around really quickly. There's no lag, even opening up apps. It just loads up really quickly, especially since there's no Android skin on top of this. It's just stock Android. You also have 2 GB of RAM, which means things keep moving along fast enough. In terms of benchmarks, you might not get the best results, but it's pretty good. I have benchmark results over on the website that you can check out at unleashedphones.com. In terms of internal storage though, you can get either a 16 GB version of the Nexus 5 or a 32 GB version. If you get the 16 GB version, there's about I think 12ish GB. The 32 GB version is about 26, which isn't that much. But just so you know, I would personally pick the 32 GB version. You also get Bluetooth 4.0, NFC, and for the first time on a Nexus device ever, it has 4G LTE support depending on where you are at. This is the Indian version, which does not have 4G support for India. Alright, and coming to software, Android 4.4 KitKat comes out of the box on the Nexus 5. That's the best part about getting this phone. You know that you're getting Android 4.4 KitKat out of the box, and as you can see, it's 4.4.0. Unfortunately, I couldn't get the 4.4.2 update for whatever reason. It wasn't showing up on my device. But Google has done a really good job with 4.4. With KitKat, it does require you to install an update as soon as you take it out of the box, for one thing. But once you do install the update, you're treated to Android 4.4 KitKat in all of its glory. And as you can see, things are massively cleaned up now. There's a new Google Experience UI that has done away with the tabs at the top for apps and widgets. Now you just have your list of apps and huge icons, as you can see, which makes it look a lot simpler, to be honest. And if you want to add a widget, you just long press on any screen and you can add widgets or change your wallpaper right from there. So all in all, it is a much nicer looking edit, I guess, to Android. One thing I'm not a big fan of, but some people are, is that you can just swipe left to get to Google now. You could previously just swipe upwards to get to Google Now, but now it's just a left screen panel always. To add a new home screen on the Nexus 5, you have to grab an icon and move it over to create a new home screen, and then you get, I think, a maximum of 6. I haven't really tried adding too many home screens on it just yet. But all in all, as you can see, there's a nice new layout to everything. Everything looks clean, and even the icons have all been changed to a much more simpler grayish theme. And as you can see, the virtual buttons are now transparent-ish, which all in all looks really clean. So I am a big fan of the changes that they have implemented. So all in all, I'm a big fan of the new dark white grayish theme that Google has applied to Android 4.4 KitKat. It really does look much nicer aesthetically. Even the translucent notifications panel and everything looks really good. really clean, and I definitely hope more manufacturers going forward use this UI, at least some aspects of it, because it does look really nice. Even one thing to talk about is the dialer can now search for things right from the dialer itself. So you can search for maybe Domino's Pizza or something and find out how to get to them and more information, etc, etc. So you can use the dialer like a phone book, which is very cool. Some other apps have also been tweaked a little. For example, the Hangouts app now handles the SMSs, and the Clock app, for example, has been changed to the new UI. It all looks really nice. The on-screen keyboard. The on-screen keyboard works well enough. I don't know, let me try typing a new message to the tablet, for example. It's pretty good. The keys are well spaced, and you can glide from alphabet to alphabet to spell out a word, just like swipe. It works well enough. I'm still a fan of swipe, to be honest, but it is comfortable enough to type on this without requiring a third-party keyboard. Another thing I want to talk to you about is the new OK Google command. If you just say OK Google, search for Unleash the Phones. And as you can see right there, it will search for Unleash the Phones, and you can use the OK Google command for a whole variety of things, and that is pretty cool as well. Alright, so let's talk about the camera. The camera UI has remained exactly the same. There's not really much different. You can see that the UI is exactly the same. You can still swipe to the left or the right, I guess, to get to your list of pictures that you've taken, and you can long press somewhere on the screen to focus. You can also tap on the side right there to choose a different screen mode, for example, or you can just long press anywhere on the viewfinder and select the options that pop up. For example, if you want to change white balance, like I set it on auto, but you can change it to anything right from there. It's not really my favorite UI, because in case you mess up, you won't really know about it until you've already taken the picture and seen how bad the results are. But there's a new HDR plus mode that works pretty well, and camera quality is pretty okay. Like I said, it improves a lot with Android 4.4.2, but camera quality is pretty decent. It's better than anything else you can get in this price range. Same for video quality. You can record up to 1080p video, and the 8 megapixel camera does a really good job with images as well. For more results from that, you can check out our post around Unleash the Phones, because we have camera samples and video samples to show you how the optical image stabilization helps. In terms of battery life, the battery on the Nexus 5 isn't my favorite thing about it. You just have 2300 mAh battery, which isn't too great. As such, you have very average battery life. You might struggle to get through an entire day. You might have to charge it up halfway in the night before you head out for the evening, if you have a long evening ahead of you, which isn't too great. But all in all, to conclude, the Nexus 5 is a really nice phone for this price range. I think it's a real value for money deal. You might not get a lot of fun features out of the box, but you get the stock Google UI, which is very clean, very simple looking. You have guaranteed updates from Google as soon as they release, even though mine does not have the latest version of Android for some annoying reason. But it also all runs on the fastest processor that's out there right now, the Snapdragon 800. So all in all, I'm a huge fan of it. Build quality is also pretty good. The only thing you should worry about with this phone is that the battery life isn't too great. It's more than what you get with most Android phones nowadays, but most of today's flagship phones do last a bit longer. As always, guys, if you have any questions about the Nexus 5, do let me know in the comment section below, or check out our detailed post or unleashthephones.com for the full review.